republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So first item is public comment on agenda items. And with none, we can move on to consensus items.
Well, I have a couple folks that I want to recognize for their retirements. Tony Bergman, who has been with us for 34 years, let Renee know toward the end of the year that he was retiring, and so we certainly appreciate Tony. He's taught PE in several different grade levels, elementary most recently, and helped coach, or was the head coach for our state champion football team back in 2008. So lots of years with North Adams, all his children going through here. We certainly wish him the best and thank him for his years of service with us. Scott Miller is retiring after, I think, 34 years as well, 35 years. Scott's never going to sit still for very long, though, so I'm sure he is taking some much-needed respite, I hope, right now, though. But he's still around us. He still has kids here playing sports and doing things for a while. And Terry Free, who has worked as a custodian here at North Adams for 37 years, is retiring. And I just want to say that I think Terry is probably one of the most inspirational staff members that our kids could be around. Someone who has overcome some of what others may have chosen to just not work and not get out there and do things every day and not only try but accomplish and be a leader among his peers. I really appreciate and look up to Terry, and I hope that he gets to enjoy his year's retirement and gets some much needed rest, relaxation, and gets to have some fun. He's still going to get one more summer, though, and deep cleaning and all those things, but we appreciate him and wish him the best in his retirement as well. So those are the retirements. I did want to talk, one of our consensus items is reduction in force, and we are, just to make sure folks understand what that's about, we are having a couple reduction in forces. RIF is the other word that you can hear it. This is entirely related to enrollment for us. This is not because we are in financial straits or anything along those lines. This is just we've been hovering in between for several years now with enrollment, having too many or just enough staff having maybe an extra period here or there. Now it's getting to the point in a few areas we're getting staff with more than one free spot in their schedule. So with the economy the way it is and more probably cuts coming, we're anticipating we really needed to double down on efficiencies starting now, even more than ever. And so we do have 2 RIFs on the agenda tonight. Those folks have already been notified, and we've already spoken to them some time ago. So this is no new news to the individuals, but did want to make sure folks understood. There are 2 reasons you reduce force. One is lack of students to fill courses, and others are financial needs, and ours is the former.
Any other questions or comments or a motion to approve the consensus item?
I'll make a motion to approve the consensus items.
Motion by Jill, seconded by Darlene. Motion by Jill, seconded by Darlene to approve the consensus items as presented. All those in favor announce by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Approved 7-0. Next, we have a program update with 85.
We should have a table here. Yeah. Same for you guys tonight. So, yeah, it was like last month, I went well over my time limit. I think when we had our board work night, had Christy and Renee on the timer for their update, and then I went well over it. So I know that I just updated you guys recently on some of the happenings at the high school, and so considering what I wanted to share tonight, this afternoon we hosted a work-based learning lunch and learn where we invited community, business, industry professionals to attend, to basically, with the new diploma requirements, trying to establish more quality work-based learning placements for our students to get out in the community. And experience real world job experiences where they may have an opportunity to job shadow someone. It may be an unpaid internship where they're trying to determine what they want to major in college, all the way up through a paid position as an employee with the business for, up to like a half a day. And so I was encouraged by the turnout today. Darlene was there, appreciate you coming. And I guess mostly encouraged by the fact that when, I'd asked how many people here do we currently partner with, there was only a few hands raised. So it brought in a lot of new individuals who seem very interested in hosting our students for various types of experiences over the coming years as the work-based learning requirement becomes a part of students' high school diplomas, for all of us starting with this year's freshman class. So we appreciated the Adams County Economic Development. They sponsored the lunch for everybody, so job was being provided a lunch, and that was very nice. And Mayor Rickard shared some opening remarks. And then we had a student who also attended, Ben Mills, who has had a great experience even as a junior. We've sort of tried to start getting some of our students out into the workforce even as juniors, whereas before the quote-unquote ICE program was sort of limited to seniors. But we're finding ways to kind of plug them in even as juniors, where they're able to kind of make that real-world connection between what it is they're doing inside the walls of Belmont and outside the walls of Belmont, and make some decisions on what they want to do after high school. And so I was really encouraged by the turnout today, and felt like the community was very supportive of it, and I'm hoping to establish more quality placements and continue to increase those partnerships. So we made some adjustments to some staffing at the high school to devote more staff to the work-based learning program, as far as like some administrative type duties and things like that, as it becomes a bigger part of kids' high school experience. So.
Did there seem to be a common question or quote
Yeah, there were-
concern?
Yeah, a common question that comes up is about students' ages and insurance, and especially with some of our champion homes and some places like that are very interested in hosting students, but because of corporate policies, they're not able to do so. I don't want to misspeak on the law. Yeah, the law that was passed. Yeah. March 3rd, Senate Bill 1098, maybe, or House Bill, I don't know. I don't want to misspeak, but I know that there have been some laws recently passed that extend some more freedoms and encourages, employers to hire, or at least maybe not even as an employee, but to have them on the job. And so that was a common question. Some questions about hours, as far as depending on the diploma that students are pursuing. If students are going to pursue the employment diploma, there's some more work-based learning hours attached to that than there are the enrollment diploma, but one of the enrollment diplomas still has 75 hours attached to it, and which is great. We're really supportive of that. We think it gives kids an opportunity to shadow. We have a strong partnership with Adams Memorial. Linda Arnold does a great job of plugging those kids into whatever portion or part of the healthcare industry they're interested in. But we had a good turnout from like city government and public service people today, which we were excited about, because we think there's an opportunity there too for our kids to do some job shadowing and maybe some unpaid internship type things. So great. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And room for more employers to contact you, right?
And room for more. Yeah, we would love that. Yes.
So you had a pretty good variety then of.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and I think people's idea of what work-based learning is, or business professionals, is sort of, it's an outdated version of it. It's ICE. It's working half the day, and kids who are not going to college and things like that. And the definition of it has completely changed. It's kids who are wanting to pursue X, Y, or Z in college, but they want to save their parents 40 grand before they go into it and major in it for 1 year and then decide they don't want to do it by plugging them into the community. And then, there's all kinds of research that backs that if these kids make these connections with people in our community, even if they go away to college, there's a likelihood that they'll come back. Yeah, so it really is, I think, very cyclical and can benefit, us as a community too. We're an aging area, so.
Very nice. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, Katie.
Very nice graduation, too, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, I appreciate that.
Okay, next we have old business. The first item is the classified handbook, second reading.
I did not print all these again for everyone. I do have a couple copies here if anyone needs one. The first one to look at is the classified handbook, and I kind of had a chart within your notes of some of the or bigger changes that were made. So were there any questions or discussion on the classified handbook?
Okay, if no questions or comments, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the classified handbook.
Motion by Wiley, is there a second? I'm sorry, Joel, second, okay. Motion by Wiley, seconded by Joel to approve the classified handbook. All those in favor, announce by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Approved 7-0. Next is the transportation handbook, second reading.
Similarly, there was a shorter chart that kind of showed you some of the bigger changes. Nothing, I didn't think anything too extravagant or exorbitant there for changes. So any questions, discussion on the transportation handbook?
Yes. Good. There's a spot twice that lists on post-accident procedures and what triggers their testing. And prior to this change, they were the same, but now we've updated C on page 15 and not 12. So I would consider changing C on both of them so that they are the same verbiage.
What pages?
Page 12, under school bus post-accidents, or letter C.
Thank you. And so your recommendation, which I definitely support, is
Just to match it with
match.
the updated changes on page 15.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Is there a motion to approve or any other questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to approve the update.
Okay, motion by Darlene, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Michelle. Motion by Darlene, seconded by Michelle to approve the transportation handbook with the update as noted. All those in favor, announce by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Approved 7-0. Next is the Belmont Elementary School Student Handbook.
So the big changes in the handbooks was update to the wireless communication. I did change some verbiage just to make it a little more parent friendly, I think. But again, very possible to have missed some things. So any questions on that from somebody else?
Nothing? Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion to
Okay.
approve.
Motion by Dave, is there a second? Second. A second by Darlene. Motion by Dave, seconded by Darlene to approve the Belmont Elementary School Student Handbook. All those in favor, announce by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Approved 7-0. Next is the Belmont Middle School Student Handbook.
Same here. Any questions, noted mistakes or inconsistencies? After you look at these so many years in a row.
I'll make approve the new school handbook.
Motion by Wiley, is there a second? Second by Joel. Motion by Wiley, second by Joel to approve the Belmont Middle School handbook. All those in favor, announce by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approved 7-0. And last, we have the Belmont High School student handbook, second reading.
So a few more changes in here. Again, the wireless communication policy is a little bit more, going to feel more stringent, just because the elementary and middle school already had the phones had to be in the locker. High school had allowed students to use it during passing periods and lunch. That's not allowable now by the new state law. One of you had reached out and asked me, I think, I don't know if yours was on the attendance, but changes in attendance policy as well as this new wireless communication. We are in the process of developing an infographic to send to parents, probably more than once over the summer, just so that they can start being aware of if and when these policies are approved by you guys, what changes will look like, and ask questions and all those things. So the wireless communication, and then Mr. Pranger had been at the last board meeting and talked to you about wanting to move the limited attendance policy days to, basically it comes down to not resetting the number of days that may be missed each semester. Understanding there's going to be extenuating circumstances and people who have ongoing chronic or temporary injuries, medical incapacities, chronic conditions are going to have exceptions made, which happens anyway. I think the high school, in my understanding, has felt, and I can probably corroborate that I saw that a little bit, but students had started looking at those limited days as personal days that they can take, as opposed to they're there if you need them. And attendance is now one of the big things our state is looking at for a number of reasons. It's on our accountability grading at every grade level, and every student counts. You get points or you get points deducted, whether the student meets a 95% attendance. And the state is also one of those things that they are measuring chronic absenteeism as to schools they consider successful, and that's going to be one of the considerations in some of their efficiency studies that they're currently doing. So we do really well with attendance. Our attendance isn't poor, but I think we're just trying to find opportunities to improve it. So any questions or discussion on high school?
Motion to approve.
I'll make that motion to approve the high school handbook.
Motion by Wiley, seconded by Darlene. Motion by Wiley, seconded by Darlene to approve the Belmont High School student handbook. All those in favor, announce by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approved 7-0. Next, we have new business. First item is approval of the Belmont High School course addition and changes.
So again, some of these are brand new courses. Some of these are just things that are going to recognize changes in law. We have an addition of sports broadcasting with Mr. Webb coming on board as our new radio TV. He had worked for the TinCap, which was part of their marketing crew. And so we have several students who are excited for sports broadcasting and starting to try to use our low frequency FM station to give that opportunity. We'll start small and hopefully be able to expand on that. Speech is now a requirement for all students as part of the new graduation diploma. It doesn't have to be its own quote-unquote what we've been used to thinking of as speech, but we are going to teach it as part of the 10th grade curriculum, but we still have to give it credit. So we had to add that as a 10th grade class with a course title. Introduction to public service is another requirement for students who are wanting to go to that enlistment diploma. And again, want to make sure people understand the enlistment diploma is not just for those folks who are looking at the military, it's first responders. Lots of people looking at going into service organizations. And I think Mr. Lineberry, if I'm not mistaken, was jumping at the chance to teach this. And I'm sure as someone who has really been involved with Eagle Scouts and Boy Scouts his whole life, he is going to do a knock-out job of giving kids lots of opportunities to learn about citizenship and public service and giving back to your community, so I'm very excited.
Is that in line with not-for-profit organizations too?
Could be too, yeah. Strategic marketing, so this is kind of our marketing course, second year. These are the students who have been working on starting the cafe, or the coffee shop, I guess I should say. And so some of the kids who weren't seniors are wanting to continue working on that as we hopefully see that to fruition next year. Actually had a meeting today with some of our architects, and that was one of the discussion points, is kind of put some finishing thoughts into that. And then very happy, I think they've already kind of started dabbling with this, but very happy that Mrs. Hazar is restarting color guard here, and I understand Mrs. Yangle has helped with that, or has.
I was asked to consult, yes. Very fun.
Yes. And I think that's just another great opportunity for our kids to get plugged into the routine. And excited to see that this fall, I hope, at our football. I think we're going to start doing some marching programs with football teams.
We did
Yeah.
some parades.
Good.
So sweet.
Yeah, very nice.
So that's, I think that's it on that list.
Okay. Any questions, comments, or motion to approve the course changes and additions?
Looking more and more like freshman year in college. Opportunity to have some-
Feeling more.
And I'll make a motion to approve the course offerings as submitted.
Second.
Motion by Wiley, seconded by Darlene, to approve the Belmont High School course additions and changes. As noted, all those in favor announce by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approved 7-0. Next is the approval of district public official bonds. Do we need to do these separately, or can we just approve them all at once? Okay.
Again, this is just to ensure the faithful performance of duties and protect the public from financial harm and fraud. And so it's for our treasurer, extracurricular treasurer, deputy treasurer, payroll and benefits coordinator, and then there's some different individuals like our lunch ladies who operate the cash register, others who may take a lot of money as part of their job. It's just, again, provide some insurance against anything that may happen.
Okay. Any questions or comments or motion to approve? Motion by Joel, is there a second? Second by Michelle. Motion by Joel, seconded by Michelle, to approve the district public official bonds. All those in favor, announce by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Approved 7-0. Next is permission to add ECA fund lines.
So middle school sports is growing, and as different sports try to do some of their own fundraising, I think it's just become more and more necessary to keep some of those funds separate so that they're going to the people that helped raise them. And so Mr. Myers asked Beverly Lichtensteiger, our ECA treasurer for the district, if we could create individual middle school sports fund lines.
Okay.
So every one of these is,
Going to be its own fund line.
Questions, comments, or motion?
the motion approved?
Motion by Darlene, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Wiley. Motion by Darlene, seconded by Wiley, to provide permission to add the ECA fund lines as noted. All those in favor announce by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approved 7-0. Next is the approval of the 26-27 classified base wage schedule.
So you have a copy of the most updated one with the most information on it at your seat. So I've been playing with a lot of scenarios for some time and worked with Chad Blacklock and kind of ran the numbers, and so all this is within what he feels he's more than comfortable with us doing. There's a couple positions that have a little bit more explanation, a couple things I wanted to communicate. I've talked to you a little bit about our district catalogers position expanding so that not only is she going to be the one who receives inventories, tags, our assets, she's also going to be helping Beth with purchasing in the summer and throughout the year, like our custodial supplies, curricular items, Summer is becoming more and more busy in this office, especially in Beth's role, because that's when the budget has to be built. And curricular fees obviously come in and all the ordering happens in, and it's very easy for things, not necessarily get missed, everything's always been done, but it's a lot of time when something like the budget that takes a lot of time too is happening, so it's just some efficiencies. And it's a pretty big job. So that's that position. It is moving to a 260, so it's more of a year-round position with vacation time. The area this year, I try to rotate every year positions that I've tried to really improve their rate compared to at least Adams and Wells County. And paraprofessionals this year probably got one of the larger raises as opposed to some of the other groups that have gotten those in years past. So I am asking for $1 on the hour increase there just to try to make us more competitive, or at least commiserate with what some of our area schools are making. Paraprofessionals is an area that you see a lot of turnover, and it's hard to find people to do it, and it can be really disruptive when you don't have them. Especially for students who may have or who may be legally bound to have to provide some compliance for them as far as service minutes and assistance and things like that. One thing, as I was going through some of our area classified staff options, was several of them have an extra substitute line to recognize and give a little bit more of a, I guess, bonus to actual folks who retired from here who were teachers. So former North Adams teachers, if they're in a subbing situation, get a little bit extra above someone else who may be. So that was something I felt, because we do have we have a couple who are retired and come back and sub, and we are low on subs, most districts are, and so if we can encourage more staff who are retired and have some time, at least intermittently, to come and help us out, I'd certainly like to encourage that. Bus drivers are getting a raise. I wanted to make sure you know that, but their raises are on different hourly rates. We have to put that in a range, and they're still within that range. So they are getting a raise. Those who have an hourly rate, it's just reflected differently. Any questions or?
I'm happy with the report to give them raises.
Me too. And again, that's not lost on what we discussed earlier. Some of that is because we have to look at efficiencies, and that comes with hard decisions that certainly impact different individuals, and we don't want to have to make those decisions, and I hate it that it comes at that expense, but those are some of the decisions we have to make in order to give people compensation that's going to keep them competitive or commiserate with what others in our area are making.
Any questions, comments, or motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Dave, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jill. Motion by Dave, seconded by Jill to approve the 26-27 classified base wage schedule. All those in favor announce by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Approved 7-0. Next is the approval of district property insurance for the period of July 1, 2026 to June 30, 2027.
So you have a chart in front of you. We didn't have a lot of this information because we just had one of the meetings with one of the proposed vendors this morning, actually. So this is going to be one of those that you're going to need some feedback on. liability and property insurance are one of the highest rates of inflation among all of our expenses. And we're not the only one. That's pretty much across all municipalities, I would say, to the tune of probably a 40% increase in the last couple of years. So what you see here are basically a comparison between two different vendors, if you will. And we did get a new vendor who went out and sought bids for some different insurance for us. So we have USI Insurance and RT Insurance. In the left column, you see what our current premiums are and deductible, basic deductibles, at least for property, are listed. And the main different coverages that we have through those insurances. So right now, the premiums totaled about just over $267,000 for the year. The same company who we're currently with gave us one proposal, and that's what's in the middle. Do note deductibles are going up, so it more than doubled. The current provider as well as the new proposed provider, deductibles are the same. You can see as far as total estimates of premiums, the new estimate is lower. However, there's some things that I want you to be aware of because this was part of the conversation. So one of the reasons that we're being told that these premiums are increasing so much, vehicles, they told us today, are one of the big things. I guess there's more people having more accidents. That's causing a lot more expense, and vehicles are more expensive. The high wind events in our area, the Midwest, the whole central part of the country, are becoming more prevalent. And because construction costs are so much more, not only are they more prevalent, but they're more expensive. So, two big differences in these proposals are the wind hail damage deductible for our current provider is $75,000, and it's a stagnant, neutral $75,000 deductible. The proposal for the new company, and I will say, we asked them to give us bids when they first came and talked to us about this. They didn't have enough time to get bids from everyone they wanted to because it takes 4 months for some of these underwriters to give you, to vet your plan. And this is evidently now becoming, because there's right now only one company that doesn't just give you a stagnant deductible on wind. It's now 1% of your building value, and they specify it by building.
So is that one building, the school?
No.
Okay.
So they have 3 buildings?
3 different buildings plus this, plus the bus garage. So, for example, if the high school's worth $40 million, that would be $400,000 deductible for wind or hail. And then if there were additional damage done on the middle school, whatever that value is, the elementary would be a separate value.
Are you looking at fair market value or depreciated value?
I don't know the answer to that. But that's a good question.
I'll use fair market, because that's the cost of it.
But some do replacement, but not all.
I'll use fair market.
I'll look it up, though. It's in the packet I have here somewhere. Again, that was the meeting this morning, so. Now, again, those are 2 differences. The new company is much cheaper. There's a couple options there. They said that right now, how we do our property and liability insurance is on a fiscal year. If we chose to do it on a calendar year, we chose to go with them, we could go for the next 6 months with this option. And then they felt they had more than enough time and feel very confident that they can get the one company who has the stagnant deductible, and we could just start a new plan in January, probably still at a reduced premium. The other thing that can happen is you can do this buyback of a deductible on the wind and hail damage, where you can basically add a rider onto your policy and you can reduce your deductible by paying extra premium. If we do that, it probably will make the 2 costs of the 2 different companies very comparable, at least until if we could get onto that company that has just a set deductible.
So if we vote on this tonight, and there's a windstorm Saturday, So we're paying 400,000, like,
Well, not tonight, because our current plan goes until June 30th.
But if there's one on July 4th.
Yes.
Um,
No pressure here.
Have there been any concerns with the current company? With-
No, just that costs are
History.
increasing fairly. We haven't gotten as many options from them because we've often been told because we have a rifle range, lots of underwriters won't take us. This company did not flag that at all. The pond sometimes over here has been another problem, because it's not disallowing any people from going in there that's not locked. And so we get flagged on that often and increased premiums.
Yeah.
I mean,
don't lock it because nothing wants to go fishing. so.
I know.
That pond goes back to the early 1900s.
Yes. It
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
Yeah, that way back then, it's in the wintertime, in the wintertime, they would cut blocks of ice
Did they?
for
Oh, cool.
saving
Really?
for your ice box.
Yeah,
We just did big
yeah,
rocks in there.
yeah.
So who's there?
So when they say that they're fairly confident, what kind of, I guess,
They,
certainty?
well, I mean, they can't say 100%. Lori was there with us today. I felt that I asked them this morning explicitly, what are the chances that we could get declined by this company? And they said, you're not going to get declined. You don't have a lot of claims in that area, in that realm, and haven't had probably in our surrounding. Tornadoes usually jump over us and go across the state
Yeah,
line.
the closest I think is Jay County.
Yeah.
And that is a real concern because that's huge. That was huge.
That was.
That's a big hit. I would say that was just your.
Yes.
A big difference.
Yeah.
But we
Raising
could
my
support,
eyebrows.
if that happened, we could support.
We have more than enough rainy day if we thought it was going to be worth it otherwise. $40,000 is a pretty big difference in premiums, but like you said, $400,000 or more is.
Yeah.
The other option is we can always just stay with what the company we have, and the next time bids go out, just make sure there's an opportunity for the vetting to be done in enough time for them to get all these.
There are times the insurance company, new ones will give you an enticing premium, and then in a year, 2 years, it really begins to jump up. Now, I'm not saying that
Right.
they would do that.
The wind to hail portion of that though, you should be aware that up to 5% has already been seen across the country instead of 1%, and that's per building.
Really?
Said Texas has already moved to 5%.
Wow.
I think we're just seeing a lot more high wind events, a lot more damage, a lot. If you can't predict it, you can't, and it doesn't have to be a tornado.
Yeah.
Right, straight winds can do as much damage.
Frustrating. But again, historically, we haven't seen a lot of.
Wasn't that much time about water tower like a year ago?
Don't ask.
We had one in our neighborhood a couple of years ago, well, I don't know, about 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Took down the road.
Like, the one I'm thinking about, like 60 years ago, but, or longer, before I bought my house.
Not to say, again, we had a tree go down here and landed on us. But that was more of a just to get some probably trees trimmed out. There have, what are those, events they call them?
Festivities?
Yeah.
We did have, back in March, that first weekend, it was isolated in a few places.
I'm thinking about the dollar amount though. 400,000. You'd have to go 10 years without a claim to justify doing
true.
And we could, but then what, all that could be July 4th.
Yeah, that's all for our slush fund.
Yeah.
With the current,
And that's assuming it only impacts one building.
Correct.
with the current rate of like legislation, we kind of want to have that.
And this is locked in.
75,000, yes, is locked in. For now.
When they worked on that company, if we stay with where we're at, they work on getting that.
Loyalty
that-
discount?
Next year.
The stagnant company to buy in before, and we can, we're getting the future.
Yeah, or whenever. How often do we,
Normally, it's yearly.
that's what I'm saying. We could stay where we're at with who we're at and then just tell the other company, have all your stuff done
In time.
this time next year and we'll get it again.
I'm more inclined to go
That
that
sounds
way.
good. That sounds good.
Yes. Like you said, it could.
Yeah, this building.
Well, I guess I would go and tell you, probably ought to read the, make me want to go home and read my fine print on my house insurance, because they said that percent thing's happening even in residential more often now.
Well, our insurance waiting to cover our roof to code, because, so we're like, oh, that's nice, so, we want to just do it, so we have to have hot,
Yeah,
so they want to do it to code.
yeah,
We, then we're fine print.
yeah.
My goodness.
They don't have to go basis, like the what if or a standard, this is what's covered in a standard.
Lots of loopholes.
Yes.
Sounded like.
Yeah. So, do we need to make a motion to approve?
Approve USI is what it sounds like.
Okay, okay.
I'll make a motion to approve USI.
I'll second that.
Motion by Darlene, seconded by Wiley to approve the USI proposal for district property insurance. All those in favor, announce by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Approved 7-0. Next is the approval of a resolution to move education funds to operational funds on a monthly basis.
So this is just keeping this stagnant. Again, we have a very low transfer at this point at 2% or 21,000 a month. Currently, it's working fine. We're going to continue to monitor it again as the homestead credit or supplemental homestead credit deductions kick in. We did have a quarterly meeting with Stifel this morning, Beth and Lori and I, and looked at what it looks like more likely our circuit breaker is going to look like, as well as these homestead credits. So we had been budgeting for $1.2 million loss. It looks like we're going to be about $833,000 loss, which is still crazy, but it's better than $1.2 million. So we'll take it and pray that the next legislative session doesn't compound that.
Okay. Questions, comments, or motion? Motion by Joel, is there a second? Second by Michelle. Motion by Joel, seconded by Michelle to approve the resolution to move education funds to operation funds on a monthly basis. All those in favor announce by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Approved 7-0. Next is the approval of a resolution to allow food services to self-certify micro purchases up to $50,000.
I'll say that 10 times.
Yeah.
So this was a resolution that we just have to approve annually. You did it last year for the first time. So a micro purchase, again, is just something that we don't have to seek multiple bids for. And in food service, they can spend a lot of money really quickly with different vendors because they might be buying in bulk. So this just allows them to spend up to $50,000 without having to seek multiple bids for different things, whether it's milk, bread, or whatever. I don't know what falls under that for them, but
I'll make a motion to approve this resolution.
Motion by Wiley, is there a second? Seconded by Darlene. Motion by Wiley, seconded by Darlene to approve the resolution to allow food services to self-certify micro purchases up to $50,000. All those in favor, announce by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Approved 7-0. Next is the superintendent's report.
So June seems to be really speeding fast if it's I'm thinking it's July already. Registration is upcoming here in about a month. We are targeting July 13th to open it. That is all going to be contingent on whether we can get Power School rolled over and everything ended on one end and ready to transfer on the next, but that's our target date. It's kind of that end of the second week, first of the third week of July. Want to give an update, pre-K and K. We're still taking students, so please, if you haven't signed your students up yet, do so. Pre-K, we did settle on full day. Want to make sure folks understand that full day does not mean they're sitting in a classroom doing work full day. It means that they're getting a little bit longer on early literacy skills. And again, that's not, they're not going to be reading books, but they're going to learn a lot about word sounds and letter sounds. And they also are going to get either PE, art, music, library, maybe computer. I can't remember what the fifth one is. Do you remember what it is, Nicole?
No.
Every day they'll get one of those, and they do take a 2-hour nap. They get fed lunch, and much of the rest of the day will be choice play, because we still have to have a third of their day has to be choice play. So there's not really a ton more seat time, but when you had 8 o'clock and they're leaving by, having to get ready to leave by 10:15, there just wasn't enough time for some of the extras. So this gives us a little more time for a little more reading, a RAS class that's really should be fun for a lot of them, I think, and they had a good time when they got some exposure to that this year, and then the rest of the time is just your normal preschool age nap time, lunch, play, kind of thing. So we do have one section of half day because we did have enough parents who wanted half day. It's AM only. We won't be providing transportation home from that. There's only a few spots available on the half day, but don't worry because of how we're anticipating the schedule work. If as a parent, you really only want your kid there a half day and we run out of the half day slots, you can just come pick your kid up because again, we're gonna have mostly academics in the morning and the afternoon will be nap time, lunch, and some playtime. So they're not gonna miss very much, and so we can work around whatever someone's preferences are. New students, again, if anyone is considering bringing their kids here, just be calling the offices. They're still have staff in there through most of this month, at least for the next couple weeks. And then again, once registration opens, it's not very long after that the offices are fully staffed for the rest of the summer. So the last couple weeks of July into August, usually we have people in the offices and we'll get you set up. Summer work, we don't have a lot going on this summer. One of the first summers in a while, we haven't had some big projects. We are going to be finishing up the fencing at the baseball field, and they're going to be sealing the concrete over there. And we are installing taller wrought iron fence and extending the wrought iron fence at the softball field to allow for a little bit more, I think, access control, making sure that when spectators come, that they're going through the ticket booths and things like that. So there's always the brick tech pointing and a little bit of roof work going on and a little bit of concrete work going on. Next summer, though, will be another big project with the 27 weeks bond. You guys have done most of the work. Did have a meeting with Art & Co this morning just to kind of, again, fine tune the scope of that. A lot of plumbing, again, a lot of plumbing and some bathrooms in the middle school, elementary, again. And air conditioning, that middle school gym.
That's next year?
That's next
Oh,
summer.
so
As will the parents who sit in there in the fall. Spring sports have wrapped up and had some good runs by several teams that did some good things here at the last. Had some track kids go to state. That was fun, and they did a lot. Did some good stuff there. Want the public and staff just to be reminded that Officer Elwell, our SRO, is also has planned a tactical training exercise that's going to be here at Belmont High School June 15th to the 18th. They will be removed from students, so there will be a lot of police presence on campus from surrounding areas. It's a training. Again, they're going to be away from kids, really probably isolated in one hallway, and then some classroom work for them. And it's going to be, which I'm glad they're here, because for our local officers who are participating, it will allow them to know our buildings better, which is always great. In the off chance a crisis would happen, they're just going to be more prepared and know where to go more so. And thanks to him for planning that.
I happened to talk to him the other day, and he took the initiative to
Mhm.
get it organized and to plan it out, and much of it is so that all first responders and law enforcement are on the same page. And he even has some future work in the future, additional training, but use other sites, other schools around here. And he's really put a lot of effort into this. I was very impressed.
And we were one of the lucky schools in Indiana who got picked the last 2 weeks of school to have our safety plans audited. So we got to scramble and get a lot of information together. Luckily, we had a lot of it. It just had needed to be updated and reorganized into one location, and we did well on that. A few things we're going to tighten up, but for the most part, she's like, I wish everybody had what you guys had, so I was happy about that. And got some good resources from the Department of Homeland Security, is where school safety is under now. I went to a school safety training last week because with Scott retiring, I'm going to be the title of the school safety specialist for the district now, and so I had to keep my certification, and with it being under Homeland Security, it looks a little different. So we found out last minute that, oh, okay, they're making us go away again for training. So went to Wabash for 2 days and did a relocation, reunification exercise with the I Love You Guys folks, and it was very good. Again, we spent a lot of time getting that up and running here anyway, so I felt good that we were pretty much on point. But it was always good to network. I was down there with one of the SROs from the neighboring schools, and so we got to talk a lot of shop about what could we do in our county or whatever, and so came back with good stuff and things to work on refinement. I appreciated what you said about commencement. I thought it was a very nice exercise, and they did a good job at the high school, and the students are always so impressive. I know Nicole made comment to me, she's like, wow,
Yeah.
it was so, everyone is so great. The kids are great, the parents are great, it's fun, it's
Yeah.
formal at the same time.
Yeah.
The kids did a great job speaking, everything was appropriate, so we were very lucky and blessed to be in the community we're in. So I'm sure I'm missing something, but there's a lot going on right now.
Any other matters coming before the board? Board member or public comment?
I have a few things I went down to Plainfield today for the ISBA's school law seminar. And there were a few key things that I kind of brought back that I wanted to share. They started off by talking about revenue impact and how you could generate more revenue. A lot of it that's the direction we're going, marketing our strengths, so ideally is that, you have more people desiring your school district for specific reasons, and there's a variety of reasons. Virtual option, which we're doing that. The one thing which virtual option came up was that if the student misses 10 consecutive days or 18 accumulative days, that it's a mandatory expulsion.
Oh, wow.
And so I had not picked that up before. And then they went to talking about cost savings, and again, we're doing much of this. The staff reduction was something they talked about. Building closures, which that has already been done, and we're very efficient now in our facilities. Looking at benefit changes in health insurance, which you guys are doing that constantly. So that got into a little bit of bullying, but tying AI to it. Federal government and also states are trying to catch up because a lot of laws aren't really dealing specifically with AI. In other words, like generating photos or videos that's intimidating or threatening or, you know, a variety of things. But he did say that Indiana's bullying law right now, they think is broad enough or Indiana's definition of bullying is broad enough for AI. Of course, it hasn't been tried in courts yet, but that was, Indiana for now may be okay as they continue to figure this out. Something that it is really can be very much a concern is if a school official has a device that a student has had, or it just comes across that there's child pornography on that, to immediately stop, close it, call law enforcement. Do not copy it, do not forward, say, in concern, but because then you can be liable for contributing to spreading child pornography. So stop right away, close it up, call law enforcement, and then let them take the lead with that. So I thought that was.
We've been doing that for a while, but sometimes it's hard for some folks to understand if their student is involved in that they may ask us, well, was my child in this picture? Was my child in this video? We don't know, because as soon as we even think there's something that could be pornographic, we're not looking anymore. We're done with it. We have to turn it over to law enforcement. I understand as a parent that, especially if you're a parent of a daughter, you want to know, and I get that our liability is too high.
And there are slides, it's all digital, so I will email it out to everybody that covered the whole thing. But that's just kind of a real quick overview. They did talk about teacher contract termination, but nothing really new there. They were just reminding people